People, deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all well and safe. Sorry for being 2 minutes late, people. I don't even want to show you the plate, but I can't lie, man. I made a panini. I know the work rate's crazy, but I'm no good to you lot if I'm on an empty stomach. And I thought, let me not rush you. I always rush to get on here with you. I thought, you know what? I love this is a chicken and sweet corn panini. It had the cheese. It was lovely, and it took me over 2 minutes to eat it. So I apologize, people, but I'm there now, man. I hope you're all well and safe. Monday morning over here. Well, you know, we're approaching noon. It's, you know, last half an hour of morning time until we approach noon. If you're over there in America and similar sort of time zones, it's early morning. If you're over there in Australia, like live from Planet X, one of the moderators is always up in here. You know, it's stupid o'clock them sides there. So whoever you are, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hope you're all in good spirits. As I said as well, it's Monday morning, so it's a chance for us to, if you didn't have a good week last week, have a better one. You know, move forward towards your goals so that on Friday you're that much closer than where you was a week ago from your goals. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. I hope you're all well and safe. F1, I apologize, man. I was late. Listen, I was late. Allow me. I had to eat, man. You know, I had to eat. You know, things got on top of me today. I tried to do bare thumbnails and cut up bare other videos. What you know, all you can do is be honest. Do you get it? You know, even Saka has a bad game. Do you get it? So it happens sometimes, man. So please make sure you're getting up the likes, people. Big up the Twitch gang as usual. The Twitch one, I always appreciate you lot. I should stop saying that now. I don't appreciate when you lot get onto me. Of course not. But I hope you're all well and safe. Obviously, throughout the course of this live stream, we're going to talk about yesterday from a tactical point of view. There's some rumors in relation to Dani Ceballos and him being available for 22 million. Obviously, there's what you've seen with David Luiz, and I'm sure a lot of you will have other talking points like I've seen you lot say already. So please make sure you hit the like button, man, and those sort of things there. What are you lot saying, people? You know, River Wilder said, morning, DG. Lovely to wake up after victory. Am I right to be a little concerned by Martinelli's lack of game time recently? Baffles me that Willian is picked ahead of him. Well, I wouldn't say it's concerning. I'd say his generally the lack of game time since he's come back into the first team. Yes, he's had a couple injuries and that's kind of knocked his progress. I would say yes, because obviously I want to see our better players. And when we weren't in good form, he was leading by example. And the one thing I like about Martinelli, listen, you know yourself, River, he's got technical ability, he can score goals, he's only going to get better. But you know, the first thing I actually like about him is his desire, is the mentality, and it rubs off on other players in the right way, in my opinion. The only thing that concerns me is Willian being picked ahead of him, not just him, with Reece Nelson, even to a degree Pepe's been amongst that. It's the obsession with Willian, and it's no disrespect to Willian, because I don't feel Arteta's helping Willian in that regards. We're going to get onto it in a sec, but I don't think he's helping him. He's actually making him, you know, by putting him in this position. Yes, you're playing him, trying to play him into form, but you run the risk of alienating other players who, like the fans, can't understand why, you know. And it's got to the point now where I'm sure a lot of people, we're not even looking at Willian anymore. We're looking at Arteta. You're the one putting him on. We're questioning your logic with putting him on. And like I said in the title, this isn't the hill for Arteta to die on. This should not be the hill Arteta wishes to die on, people. It really should not be. You know, this isn't going to be a good thing. And I'm not going to lie, Arteta does show me some good things. Then it's things like this which concern me, because listen, if we always talk about non-negotiables, we can't hold people's hands, we can't afford to carry passengers. We're carrying a passenger in Willian. First and foremost, I care about if you're playing good. He's not playing good. He doesn't deserve to be on the squad, let alone the match day squad. You know, on the starting 11, let alone the match day squad. That's already an issue. You know, at times it might even cost us points. Like you've seen, we can't afford to carry passengers. And better players than Willian, or people that have needed an arm around them, I haven't seen the same support extended to them, which runs the risk of alienating people. You know, I actually feel sorry for Willian, like I've made in some other videos. I'm not going to go over it, but he's just simply put, he's not doing good enough. We can't carry passengers. He's an experienced player on a 3-year deal. You know, he knows what it takes to win a Premier League title. He's been part of that, or do things like, you know, qualify consistently for champs. We're talking about Willian like he's a child. Like he's 17, 18, when he's not. All we heard is he's Premier League proving he's ready. We've seen none of this. He still is yet to score for this team. And for me, I don't care. Listen, whether I'm not a biggest fan of David Luiz. Can't say a damn word about David Luiz based on yesterday. You know, Cedric might not convince everybody, done his thing. You know, Willian's getting consistent chances and not taking none of them. Obviously, I do think people are overdoing it with Willian. Like the last game he came off the bench, not this one, the last game. Who did we play in the last game? I can't remember, but he did all right. I think people are overdoing it, but generally it's not enough. So it concerns me that Martinelli and Nelson are not giving minutes. It concerns me that Pepe has struggled for minutes, all because of Willian, and we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen Willian show any creativity, get any real goals, get any real assists. We don't even really hear he's good for the young players and all of these sort of things. Personally, I think there must be something in his contract that makes it more expensive every time you don't include him in a matchday squad or bring him off the bench, which shows our incompetence. If that is true, that's just speculation. And for me, it's just carrying a passenger. If we've got a young manager, yeah, you need experience, yeah, but we've got a young manager, we've got some youngish sort of players. Willian doesn't tie into the philosophy. Obviously some people need to be exceptions, but what are we carrying him for? At least if it's a Pepe thing, you can say, boy, he's 25, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Willian's been this, he's found a way to get even worse, but he's been this. He's not going to improve. And I like that Arteta likes to put his arm around him. I want to be wrong about Willian, people. I really do. I want Willian to go score a hat-trick and we're like, boy, what a free transfer. But it's an expensive mistake. And, you might have to, I don't think they're going to tear up his contract after a year, but you probably have to tear up that contract. It doesn't look good. Cedric and Marie are playing all right, so we're not talking as much, or what a lot of fans were saying of just getting into bed with agents and penny pinching. But the Willian thing, it don't look good. It just screams that a manager's here because he's comfortable in London. He doesn't really look like he wants to put in a shift. He knows he ain't played well enough. And the manager's, you know what, at the end of the day, if he doesn't come on the field, he can't be a talking point. The manager's now putting him in there. And what scares me about Willian is he's not good enough. He's playing poorly and the confidence is gone from him. And the manager is still playing him beyond this. The confidence is the one thing I look for. When the confidence is gone and you look afraid, you're a myth. And Willian has shown that. And obviously at his age, being with Arsenal, he's clearly going to decline sooner rather than not. I don't think it's worth bringing on. I don't think it's worth playing Willian. He's not part of the future. It's as simple as that. And he's not providing real competition to wide areas. He's not pushing Reece Nelson or Pepe to be better players. Pepe's got better for himself because he wants to play. Willian didn't push him. And if we look at it, people, if I share my screen quickly, I don't scapegoat and all of these things. Like I said, in our last game prior to Leeds, I think he got scapegoated. But as you lot can see here, people, it's pretty telling now. Smith Rowe lost the ball hella amount of times. And I think actually David Luiz's pass percentage rate or whatever, I saw a stat, it was only 3% higher than Leno's, people. Smith Rowe lost the ball 5 times in his 62 minutes, but Smith Rowe got an assist and did his thing. So, and Smith Rowe's a baller, so allow him. But Willian lost the ball with 5 of his 10 touches since coming on in the 62nd minute against Leeds. How do you manage that? That tells me you're not confident. That tells me you're not good enough. That tells me you don't believe in yourself. So why does he keep playing? I don't really care if man is great in training and all of these sort of things because it's not being correlated on the field. So that's that in relation to Willian. Arteta, this is going to be one hell of a hill to die on. Guys like Willian will cost you your job because it becomes baffling when, clearly he's realized you can't. Remember when he used to play him in big games? Clearly he realizes I can't rely on him. And I think he knows deep down because when backs are against the wall, not like yesterday when we've got a bit of a margin for goals, he brings on Willian. When his backs are against the wall and he needs to bring in a performance, he plays Pepe. So I would love to know what Willian has over him. I want to know what Willian does in training. I want to know what Willian brings to the table because, if Willian came and showed his adaptability on the right wing or showed his levels in the creative midfield role, we might not even went for Odegaard. That's what I was hoping. Someone that can play on the left, on the right, and as a cam and give us something to some level. No one was expecting fireworks, but he's been worse than you could have imagined. And how you get out of this Willian one, I don't know, people. We've shot ourselves in the foot. Like I said, Arsenal are the kings of roundabouts. You free up the way structure with several departures and it looks rosy. Then I hear talk about David Luiz and Willian new deal. It's like you lot don't want to change. We've got a fetish for unfinished projects. I know you need experience, but for me, experience is only valued when the players are good. Willian's played over 200 times in the Premier League off the top of my head. How many years for Chelsea? Been there, done it all, Regardless what you say about Willian, he's had a better Premier League career than most. But I don't care that he has experience because it's irrelevant. When I go on to that, when I see the lads go onto the field, I don't see that you look significantly more experienced than Bukayo Saka, and I don't see you play like such. So the experience, there's always a lot of experience only matters if you're good. Thiago Silva's a good player. The experience thing only matters because he's good. It's as simple as that. The experienced ones 9 times out of 10 are the ones costing us at Arsenal Football Club, really and truly. Big performance from Leno, David Luiz and Cedric. But you go past the last 2 weeks, these lot have been at fault individually for certain things. Willian's been around the block. He's not going to change it. Fundamentally, for me, other players could get chances and they might show something. So for me, you need to clip Willian. It's as simple as that. But as you could see there, my dude, he managed to lose the ball 10 times. He's not believing in himself, and nobody at this. One thing I'll give Willian. He's consistent with the other wingers at this club. Nobody at Arsenal Football Club can take a corner. Even my guy Bukayo Saka. I can't believe it, people. I don't know what that is, but it is what it is. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. 98 of you in here, 10 minutes in so far. We're on to a good start, people, as we fast approach 12 p.m. over here in the UK, people. B. Campbell said, time for the youngsters to stand up and be counted in defense and let David Luiz depart in the summer. 100% agree. We're going to get on to David Luiz in a sec, but 100% agree. Surely if Luiz signs, he's putting pressure, he's putting Saliba's position in danger. On one hand, we're Arsenal Football Club. If we want to be a top 4 team, if you want to play consistently, earn it. If we signed the best winger in the world right now that plays right wing, people might say Saka's not getting chances. But at the same time, I back Saka to play significantly because he's doing his job and there's 11 players. So at Arsenal, you always have to welcome competition. You have to. There's no way around it. We probably do need a centre-half. I would say, however, if anything, maybe David Luiz's one strengthens it. I don't know if the club will turn around and buy another centre-half. But for me, renewing David Luiz's new deal, that tells me that you're not going to move for another centre-half. That tells me David Luiz is going to be the bridge player. Saliba could go on loan again, but Saliba probably comes back next season. That hardly, a prime Varane, but significantly more experience. And Arteta hopefully deems that he's more ready to try and break into the first team. So you'd have Gabriel, you'd have Saliba. That's who that would have growing pains, but that would two members you want to see as part of the defense. Hopefully, but between now and the end of the season, we can somehow trial Gabriel and Marie, 2 left-footed centre-halves. So just so that, next season we have the luxury of, Rob holding whatever combinations. For me, Pablo Marie, whatever combinations, and Saliba, whatever combinations. Off the top of my head, these Saliba, Gabriel, Marie would be my 3 central centre halves to the planning. Holding as well, they'd be the 4. Personally, I would love a 5th, but I'm inclined to believe, you've got Gabriel first choice next season. Holding signed a new deal and inserted himself, so them 2 could very well be first choice. Marie, if he keeps showing his levels, can be in that conversation. You'd have David Luiz, who's at 33, turning 34, would play significantly. So that's 4, man. Maybe Chambers will be allowed to see out the last year of his deal, making the 5th. I'm not sure, but I would say if anything, David Saliba's place is strengthened by David Luiz staying at the club, because that's going to be the bridge signing. Or maybe the club will say, do you know what? I don't know, the centre halves that we want, it ain't happened. So we're gonna give ourselves another year to look for another centre half. So David Luiz, you stay. Saliba, you get this minutes to train up. We'll have to see, man. But I think yes and no, more no, if that makes sense, my guy. Don't know for all the comments. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. David Luiz is a good asset, to be honest, but he shouldn't be in the way of others. I'm not too sure for good asset, but fair play. I definitely feel some people sell him with someone like David Luiz. There's gonna be no middle ground. There's gonna be keep him. You know how fans are. Bear fans get, Arsenal fans must have been hella romantic this season. El Nene new deal, Lacazette new deal, Luiz new deal, Cedric's the new right back, Bellerin's here to stay. All of these short-term sort of things without longevity sort of thing. We'll have to see, man. We really will have to see what happened, man. From a homegrown aspect, where do you think we balance the books? Bellerin out, Aaron's in. Aaron's is gonna be expensive, but I would like a right back in it between Cedric, Bellerin. Obviously, Maitland-Niles isn't a thing. I wanted to see come May, like how we got with Tierney. There's one proper choice, not flavour of the month sort of thing, which we see. If that is not the case come the end of the season, then we need a right back. Cut the track. Emma said there's 113 of you watching and there's 44 likes. Sort that out. Come on, people. Get the thing to 100. It doesn't cost a thing. I'll also be going live with my guy Wax online from 3 p.m. today. So there's a next live stream for you lot to make sure you're aware of. A man said, I'd rather be drinking Prosecco. DG's mug. Hey, it's just a mug, my guy. And to be fair, I'm not a Prosecco man. I'd rather be drinking Henny up there or something, but green tea will do. But yeah, in terms of homegrown aspect, I'm not too sure where we balance the books. I would say Callum Chambers, Arteta likes him, but I'd be inclined to believe he is available. I would say I don't think Nelson should leave, but Nelson indirectly a certain offer might tempt them. So I would probably say Nelson, Chambers, indirectly, Hector Bellerin, Maitland-Niles is up for sale. I don't think Joe is up for sale, but money talks. Everyone who's on loan, to be fair, your future's in line with speculation. You can't really say a definite, really and truly. So I'd say that's where it comes from, man. To be fair, I don't mind David Luiz being given a marginalized role. Like if he was to stay at the club, be this, backup, keep centre half, he's a reassuring voice. But the problem is for me with Arsenal is that we don't proper mitigate. I'll get into it more, but we don't mitigate against that. We don't, John Terry, he had problems towards the end of his career playing a high line. Chelsea guarded against that. David Luiz will get exposed. When you've got a centre half who is very naive and a walking fire hazard like David Luiz, declining and exposing, and a system that has been improving but don't really factor in these things, it's a recipe for disaster. You know what? We might as well crack on with David Luiz, people, really and truly. We might as well crack on with David Luiz now that I've mentioned it. Yeah. So you said he should be offered a coaching role at most. For me personally, my guy, I just think it's too much Disney Channel. It's too much romance in this thing at Arsenal. Like, don't get it twisted. I have a lot of admiration for David Luiz. I think he gets a bad rep. Like I was saying earlier, I think there's no in between when speaking about David Luiz. You either bare romantic because of what's happening in recent weeks. You've either just written him off already for whatever reason. My thoughts on David Luiz, I think he's been a better signing than I thought. Like, I was dead against the signing of David Luiz. He's been a better signing than I thought. I think he has showed leadership qualities. I think he has had good games. The problem is, you get what you pay for. And we've been knowing who David Luiz was at Chelsea and other clubs, and we know what we get now. For every good game he's got, the statistics and the examples are there for points dropped. At times he charges out of defense. Yes, he got a red card, unfortunately, against Wolves, but fundamentally, 30 seconds before the end of that first half, he's out of position. When you add mistakes happen, players make mistakes, but some make them more than others. When you've got David Luiz making 4, 5, 6, 7 mistakes a season, then you've had previously Mustafi, and historically, Leno's a bad boy keeper, but Leno has a mistake in him. Bellerin has a mistake in him. Xhaka has a mistake in him. Bearman got mistakes in them, and sometimes the better players make mistakes as well. We've got too many of these guys, and David Luiz is that. David Luiz is a form man. As much as I like David Luiz and I have admiration for him, I don't know what I'm getting. Am I getting that David Luiz against United? Am I getting the David Luiz yesterday where there was some shaky moments, but generally a quality player? Or am I getting the one against Southampton? Or am I getting the one like I just gave with the Wolves example? I don't know what I'm getting. And a 33-year-old, I shouldn't be talking about that. That's not that should not even a 13-year-old footballer you can say that. We wouldn't be in an academy and them things. So while I have admiration for David Luiz, he is a leader. He stands up to be counted. One thing I like about David Luiz, to be fair with you, he owns up to his mistakes. He never runs away. You hear he's good for the young players, and some of the Arsenal young players I've spoken to said, David Luiz is a good guy around the team and stuff like that. So I get it. So yeah, like I said, experience, it does help the young players, and you can never discount that. He could be that bridge player that could allow Saliba and even Gabriel to a degree to learn, because let's remember, Gabriel is still very raw. Maybe if Gabriel gets a bit mature, then there's less of a need for David Luiz, or if Holding takes more of that. Because if we look at it, David Luiz makes mistakes, but as much as I rate Holding, he switches off. Gabriel's problem is probably diving in too much and a bit raw like that. Holding's biggest error for me, sometimes he don't sniff danger, especially runners. David Luiz kind of does those things quite well. He's just a hazard. So yeah, these are the reasons. But for me, I don't even buy that. Listen, I look at the reasons for no, and this is on a non-biased thing. We don't take, like I was saying earlier, we don't tailor our way of playing to older players. Like with Aubameyang, he scored a hat-trick. But, are we factoring in how he's getting older and how we can tailor our game to get the best out of him? We don't do that. So for me, on top of, we claim to be a young team and needing all of these sort of things, but you'd have, and he's an exception, but you'd have Aubameyang, you'd have David Luiz in the middle of your defense, and you'd have Willian. This doesn't scream longevity. This isn't making sense to me. We don't tailor our game to young players. He doesn't fit in with this philosophy. We play a very high line, a ball playing high line. So if we don't tailor, if he's defensively naive already, if we don't tailor our game to him, if he's declining physically, you can see how the problems are gonna thingy. For me, ultimately, 33 turning 34 is still not consistently good. That's purely footballing reasons, it's wasting wages. Again, he might take a wage cut. I don't know how much David Luiz has, but it's wasting wages. It's wasting a spot that could go elsewhere. Could you get somebody else who is older than what we have, more so Pablo Mari's age, who can do David Luiz's job? You know, and for me, all the reasons for giving David Luiz a new deal, it's a bunch of reasons other than being a good enough centre half. You know, I hear what people are saying about good for the young players, a voice, a leader, all of this sort of thing, but that don't make no sense if you're not doing it on the football field. And also, you know, didn't we hear he kind of at times undermined Arteta's authority? So if Arteta wants to keep him, it means that's invalid. But if that is true, you can see how it makes no sense. You'd imagine surely he features in a marginalized role next year. Like I said, if you bring in this new centre half with Gabriel or Holding and Gabriel or Marie and the many combinations, you'd expect David Luiz to just be a, you know, someone for the young players, a voice in the changing rooms, a voice in the dressing room, you know, play a proper marginalized role, do up Europa League in the cups, in the group stages, assuming we're there. Maybe FA Cup, League Cup could all be him as well. But Arsenal don't do that. You remember with Koscielny, we overplayed a 34-year-old Koscielny, and I don't want to rely on him. You know, I just think, you know, I looked at it on a non-biased thing because I actually want to keep David Luiz, you know, for some weird reason. I like him. He's a madman, but I like him. But when I look at it without emotion, there's too many reasons to say no. Like, it's wasting wages, it's wasting a spot. There's no consistency there, you know, good voice and good in the dressing room. Really and truly, if we didn't have such a problem in terms of leadership and all of these things, would it being a good voice and good in the dressing room be valid? Because I could, you know, I would say yes, but I could argue no. You know, if everybody's a leader, it is what it is, and he's hardly the manager. You know, if David Luiz wants to go into coaching and this is the bridge to get him in, fair play. You know, experience, and he helps with young players. That's true, but there's a wealth of experience around the team. You know, and to be fair, these young players are learning from their own experiences. They're setting it. You know, you can always learn from anyone, but it won't make sense, people. It does not make sense for me to give David Luiz a new deal. But what do I know? David Luiz signs, of course, I'll support the thing. And all of these sort of things, people. Leadership skills. For me, again, I always find the leadership skills one a bit mad, because everybody should be a leader in this team. In the same way, one manager can't consistently make the team winners and remind them. How can one man be a leader? You know, really and truly, you know, Aubameyang's a leader. Partey's a leader. Tierney leads. Saka and Smith Rowe are leaders, you know. Again, I think Marie's leads when he's involved, you know, very vocal. Even Hector Bellerin, I might not rate it, but Hector Bellerin, so I think even the leadership one, you know, I don't think we're as strong mentally as we should be, but it's not like they're kids, you know. I don't think the leadership one is valid, really. You know, as you lot can see, Arteta's impressed with him, and you know, it's just a bit, it just screams a bit sentimental. It's too much sentiment. As you lot can see here, courtesy of the Daily Mail, people, Arsenal are set to offer experienced defender David Luiz another 1-year extension. He's in his second year with Arsenal. As you lot can see, his current deal runs out in June. The 33-year-old has had a so-so season, people. As you lot can see here, somewhat erratic and makes costly mistakes. And that's it. David Luiz will be certified for 10 games. 2 games, he'll make errors that cost you points. When you look back in May and David Luiz has done that, Jacques has done this, Ceballos that, and I'm just saying random examples because historically all these players make mistakes. We have to get rid of the error-prone players, you know. We can talk about VAR and things like that, but how many times have we lost games where we shouldn't have lost, or we've had to draw where we shouldn't have drawn, or we haven't started in the way? It's not just Luiz, it's just silly individual mistakes. And again, there'll be a lot of question marks, you know. Big up Mavropanos, he's having a decent loan spell over in Germany. It remains to be seen if Arteta is going to give him a chance. I'm not too sure, because you'd have Saliba, you'd have Gabriel, who are more experienced but defined as young centre halves. I don't know if we are going to be able to afford game time to William Saliba, Gabriel, and Mavropanos, and Holding, and David Luiz, and all of these sort of things. I do think, you know, you could see Mavropanos head out on loan, maybe to a Premier League. If the right offer comes, maybe even permanently. I think Chambers won't be here next season. Holding has forced his way into plans. So and it just, for me, it further muddles up the team, really. So I don't think there's a case to give him a 1-year extension, because he's not doing it on the football field consistently, you know. And we've already seen, allegedly, to play devil's advocate, we've seen what new contracts can do for certain star players. So imagine when you've got players who aren't levels, what it could do. So we'll have to see, man. But the less said, the better, man. We'll see what happens in that regards, people. As you lot can see, that was the timestamp. And it's true, Arsenal fans hate competition. They hate it. They forget that it's 38 Premier League games and however many ups in the cups, and there's many things. You know, yesterday you saw Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Aubameyang, really, and Saka. You know, next game you might need a Martinelli and a Pepe. You know, we need competition. We need this sort of thing. You know, I do agree there's a fine line between balance and with actually having balance and having being overstocked in positions. But it is what it is, man. South London's finest has said, like Lacazette, but Aubameyang showed yesterday what a striker is meant to be judged on: goals, not hold-up play. Big up South London's finest. And it makes sense. You know, I agree. Ultimately, strikers are judged on goals. I'd rather be a striker who they can say whatever they want about me. I'm a 20 league goal minimum man historically, than someone who's got bare build-up play and all of this sort of thing, but you're not scoring. I sit on both sides of the debate. Like I said, for me, ultimately, I agree with you because you need to score goals. You know, ultimately, a striker can only be so good if he doesn't score goals. Goals pay for seats on bums. Goals win titles. Goals do all of these sort of things. I do, however, agree that it's also about what you're not doing when you're not scoring, and obviously, Lacazette has that. Me personally, I think Lacazette is the better footballer. Aubameyang is the better striker, purely because I do think people move like Aubameyang hasn't got hold-up play, but clearly if you threw them both for football, Lacazette is the more technical footballer, but Aubameyang scores more goals, you know. And I remember Arsenal fans were doing that thing saying Lacazette is the better striker because he's had less shots and he's got more goals. Aubameyang's had more shots and technically, statistically, less goals. I get that. If you're saying Lacazette's more precise and got the prestige and thing, fair play, but you buy more raffle tickets, you're more likely to win a prize. I lie. So Aubameyang's the guy for me. What I will say is, you know, I wish I could fuse them both together. I do think they've both got strengths. For me, Lacazette is more of a squad player. You know, I'm not sure he can get 20 league goals, but he can help us along that. Like I said, ultimately strikers are going to be judged on goals, but general play and what you bring to the table is a big thing. And I'd even say in today's day and age, it's a luxury to have a competent plan B striker. You know, historically, Giroud dragged Chelsea last year towards the top four. We made Giroud our first choice striker. We put him in the Aubameyang position. Why it didn't bang? Do you get it? And we've got Lacazette now. You know, you're seeing Cavani proving his worth for United. I think people really underappreciate having a backup striker, another striker. There are some games it's a Lacazette thing, and Lacazette's form's been good. Ultimately, goals are what win games. You know, you can have all the general play. Like I said, you know, it's about what you're doing when you're not scoring, to which you point to Lacazette. Ultimately, you're just judged on goals. You know, there's player strikers. You know, I don't know why the youths of today make out Heskey is a poor footballer. You know, but, you know, the more Heskey sort of went on as a player, he was more known, maybe more so for England, of how good he was to play up front for 2 days with other people. Not because he was necessarily the best, but because of his qualities to bring other men into the game. So he's almost a side dish. You know, he's the chips to the zinger mill sort of thing. So I definitely agree. What have you said? Random thought, but of all our youth talents that have come through to the first team, why have none of them been defenders? Are our youth defenders not good enough, or do we have we neglected them too much? Historically, I don't think Arsenal have tailored their approach to defending. That's why already, if you're a creative sort of player, you have more of a bias of making it Arsenal. You know, we're still talking about Tony Adams, great man, but he's the last centre half. All our guys have been the defenders that have come through this club have been accidental, excluding Ashley Cole, who was a striker. You know, Kieran Gibbs, accidental fullback. Bellerin was a winger, would not be at Arsenal if he didn't go to fullback. You know, them man there have, you know, Saka's been doing his thing as a winger, and he's had a little go at the flanks, but I mean not at fullback, but it's been accidental ones there. So yeah, man, I wouldn't say it's not that we don't care about defending. I just think we are off historically, because of how we've tried to play football and Wenger ball and these sort of things. We've been tailored towards the attackers more, and at first team level we haven't really been great defensively, and it's filtered down all the way. There's not an emphasis, so it is disappointing, but I hope we have some, man. We've got Zaynwon, Luiz, we've got Zach, Away, you know, we've got some talented young centre halves coming through the academy. Hopefully they get there, man. Bro, and this is it. You know, KSI made man think that Heskey isn't a baller. Heskey was a baller, but you see it with Heskey. Heskey can only be rated so far because he had the hold up play, he had the rest of it, but at the same time, he just couldn't get over there, man. What have you said? Many players make mistakes that lead to goals, but it's always Luiz and Xhaka who are slated the worst. Stop with the agendas. Not sure if you're talking directly about me, but I haven't mentioned Xhaka, but David Luiz is up there for the highest in the Premier League. I do agree with you, there is agendas, but some players make mistakes more than others. You know, Saka made a mistake losing his man, and the energy for Saka was different to Pepe. When Pepe did it against Everton, you're right. But at the same time, you know, Xhaka and Bellerin actually switched off one of the goals yesterday. But these guys will make mistakes. You're right. Collectively, this is the point. This is why certain people need to go. We've got too many error-prone players. It's as simple as that. Like, so I'm not too sure. You know, you have an agenda. What I would call an agenda is, like I was saying earlier with the last game. You know, who did we play? Was it Wolves? I don't even remember if it was Wolves. After we played our last game against Leeds, we played someone and Willian came on and people were just drawing out Willian. He had nothing to do with the game. That's an agenda. You know, you have to call it as you see it. Medley's a good centre half. Remains to be seen if he's going to be able to make it. And that's it, man. Some men are repeat offenders. Repeat offenders, man. Absolute repeat offenders. Big up yourself, T. Love to see you're there already, man. And this is it. And Malachi, you know, it's no shade at Aubameyang, no shade at Lacazette. But do you remember a few live streams ago, I said to you lot, it's a bit mad how at the time I think Lacazette only had 1-2 max Premier League goals ahead of Aubameyang. And I think it speaks the difference of, and not to criticize them, but it speaks volumes that man was saying Aubameyang's in his worst form of his life. Lacazette's playing amazing, where the truth is somewhere in the middle based on the numbers you get. So I do think that's quite telling. And that's what I'm telling you. Ultimately, I love Lacazette. Like I said, for me, Lacazette is a squad player. He's not someone I'd say I can rely on. You're not going to get the 20 goals and things like that, but his qualities are there. But he's not a bread and butter striker. And as for all I love Lacazette, if Lacazette could score 20 league goals minimum, Aubameyang wouldn't have been signed 6 months after him, in my opinion. You know, but it's a good option to have, man. You get it. Competition can only better players when it's done right. When you got things like Willian consistently playing, it's a bit of a madness, but it is what it is. Man said, yeah, I think you've persuaded me. Luiz re-signing isn't a good idea. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's somewhere in them. It's like, because it's for me, I just see we don't tailor our team towards when people are getting old. And David Luiz is a hot-headed you already, so it's going to be mad. And that's one, and you're right. I give him that. You know, he's a great professional. He takes ownership of his responsibilities, but that's great. But again, that's not a reason for me to give you a new deal. You got to be a good footballer. It's as simple as that, man. And to be fair, you know, Luiz really and truly, I hear that, my guy. But if Luiz needs to do that, then you've got a problem. The players do. I think players can also learn from experience. I think players can learn on their job. I just think this experience thing is it can never be overrated, but it's overstated at sometimes where it's not easy, man. Where it's not ready. You know, for me, if you're going to give David Luiz a new deal, it has to be where you really phasing him out of the team. I don't want him to be playing week in, week out, if that makes sense. Man said he's a whiskey man. Nah, dead the whiskey, man. That's a strong man juice. I'm not with none of that. Jay Walker said, not to change subject, but I reckon Arteta sees Martinelli as a number 9. Maybe that explains Willian coming on over him. Yeah, I hear that, but he's primarily played Martinelli off the left, so it's a bit irrelevant. I just think he's got a fetish for Willian. He's playing favourites, and there's probably a clause in Willian's contract. Obviously, Martinelli's had a couple knocks and stuff like that. We need to be careful with his fitness, but then that's maybe why he weren't brought on. But I could shut my own logic down and say, cool, once I see you in the matchday squad, whether you're starting or on the bench, how you have to be fit, because you can't not be fit to some capacity, man. What do you make of Arteta praising Pepe the whole week and not playing him? I don't think they're correlated. You know, it was upsetting to not see Pepe play. Definitely not come off the bench. Obviously, we know the talk in the game, and you know we're in a bad bit of form, and there would have definitely been question marks. But at the same time, I don't think that him not playing it doesn't neglect anything Arteta's saying. At the end of the day, it's a squad game. So while I think Pepe should have started, if Arteta worked on something all week, which I'm inclined to believe he did based on the way we pressed Leeds, and he'd conceded, this was the ingredients I needed, you know, I can't blame him, because I keep saying that over 38 games, I want to see one central way of playing and one sort of settled 11, but I want to see dribs and drabs and changing things. How you play City might be different to Leeds and Wolves, and I didn't really have a problem with that because football's a squad game. How many of you have played Football Manager? You know, I got my players moaning at me all the time. I'm like, listen, it's a squad game, you know. So yeah, man, it was a bit frustrating, and it takes me back to what I say is like, when Arteta, I've clocked it, Arteta's got that Pep Guardiola thing. When Arteta gasses up a man too much or a player too much, he's not using them that week, or they're not, they're leaving or whatnot. When he's got balance, that's where they're involved. Have you clocked? When he talks about Saka, he's short and sweet to the point. Smith Rowe, short and sweet to the point. When it's their man there, he starts gassing it. So yeah, it's a squad game. He doesn't have to play every game, but it speaks volumes of how Pepe's played in that. We're asking why he's not involved. But yeah, man, I don't really think it's that deep, really. If we lost, of course, we'll sit here and I'd be bringing tactically and analysing the game and all of these things. See, the thing for me with Aubameyang, yesterday, the difference is we played an aggressive game. We pressed. We passed it forward. We played it into the space. When Aubameyang's when you've got Aubameyang, that's what you need to do, And Aubameyang also played well as well, man. Big up Aubameyang. Lovely to see he got a hat-trick. Obviously, pay tribute to his mum. Obviously, it done a lot for him mentally as well. It's lovely to see, man. What do we do with Guendouzi? For me, personally, I'd love to see him brought back in, reintegrated, and things like that. But I think it's the beginning of the end. I think he's gone, man. I want to be wrong. I don't think either one made a mistake, really and truly. It just hasn't really worked out consistently, but it seems to be turning the corner. I don't think they made a mistake. It looked like Arsenal, the only team really that put offers on the table. Pardon me. And I said, lads, we've won. Let's live a little. We're happy we've won. I don't know what you want us to do. Or maybe you're talking about people in the comments. Fair play. Would you be happy if we sign Omar Richards from Reading? Ball of a left back, but isn't he destined to go Bayern Munich? And Bayern Munich probably getting him apparently up on Meccano, or has that even been confirmed? It's a madness, Bayern Munich's thing is different, already. People, the way they go about recruiting is completely different, man. I think he rates Saliba. He's just looking at it without emotion. He's just not ready. I didn't listen. I said it as well. I think Saliba shouldn't have went back to St. Etienne. I think he should have got blooded here. But I also saw logic in him going back on loan, because I don't think he's of that level. He's gonna have to learn learn quickly. For me, when I look at Saliba, very naive. One thing I think he will tie in and Arteta will love about him, ball playing is there, but that urgency, that sort of reading the game is not quite there. So he needs to improve. I just have to assume, there's been a lot of games played recently. That's probably why Holding didn't play yesterday, and ultimately, I guess Arteta thought, you know what, Rob Holding and Gabriel are my guys. In the same way, when we played Manchester City, Luiz played, but do you remember Holding was meant to be the one to start? That's one thing I like and not like about Arteta, man. I like Arteta because it's like he's got allegiances to players clearly, but what I like about him is something that I didn't see Emre and Wenger do, in that he can chop and change certain man. Like again, it doesn't make sense because he's got some bondage with Willian and some man, but it's like he doesn't necessarily have to play someone. He'll always change things and things like that. Starting 11 for Thursday, bro. We're going to get into that either tomorrow or Wednesday as we preview the game. You're going to have to wait for that one. Bayern Munich do their business different. That's what we should aspire to be like. The way they do it is something different. Bro, Reece Nelson's chilling, man. Reece Nelson's chilling. He weren't in the match day squad. He's chilling. Hopefully he gets some minutes. Will Saliba's career at Arsenal be affected because of that Saliba video? Listen, it's a funny man thing, but I don't think so. At the end of the day, it'll be forgotten about and get on with it. But maybe they'll be looking at him side eyes. I'm not too sure, man. And hopefully, that's what I'm starting to believe, Kareem, that Pepe and them man there were arrested for the Benfica clash, which I don't mind because games have been coming thick and fast. I don't think Rob Holding is going to take Maguire's position in the England squad. Based on reports you heard, apparently Southgate wants to call up Konza of what's his name? What's his team again? Villa. And apparently Portugal are watching him because he qualifies for Portugal, Angola, and there's another African-based nation of descent he's from, but I'm going to have to forgive me. I can't remember it. So it looks like Konza is ahead of Holding, but the way Holding's been playing, I might be 2-3 years late, but I might finally be able to bring back them vids where I say Holding could play for England and them thing there. So we'll have to see what happens, man. But he's going about it the right way. Really going about it the right way. What have you said, Devon? Deluded. I need to hear your thoughts on the Willian situation. I'm trying to comprehend how he's high up the pecking order ahead of Martinelli or Nelson. Scroll back, my guy. With all due respect, I'm not going to go over it again. Scroll back the live stream, and we've spoken about that. Saka has to be rested. To be fair, you know, again, as long as the physio people are saying he's good, he's good. He had a week off, he was ready to go. We can't afford to rest him. You know, the rest could probably be against Man City because that's sandwiched in between Benfica, but we can't afford to rest him. End of the day, I agree with you, but we need to play our better players. Smith Rowe, they need to play. You know, he'll probably get a rest against City if we're gonna throw that game, but I can't see a rest coming. And like I said, as long as we're, you know, managing his workload in the week, because it's not just matches that build up fatigue, it's how you recover in the week. You know, I don't know, but I'd imagine some Arsenal players don't necessarily take part in every bit of every training session. Some man might go off with the masseuse, some man might go off into smaller groups, some man might need to do more heavy sort of stuff at the beginning of the week, and as we get into a match day, you know, it gets lighter. Some man start off lighter and then go heavier. These sort of things happen. You know, look at Ledley King. He didn't train too tough towards the end of his career at Spurs, and they managed him well. So some man needed, as long as we're doing that, I don't mind. Saying that though, looking at it, you know, based on how we've looked after Partey, I'm not too sure. And fundamentally, he eats his hard food. And that's the only thing I get worried about, because Saka keeps getting kicked. He's going to have to deal with it now. He's a marked man. He's still young, but he's not that young breath of fresh air. They all know he's a danger man, you know. He's all a danger man. And like you can see, when he's receiving it with his back to goal, he's getting kicks in his ankle, kicks there. He's going to have to deal with it. He's going to have to deal with it. That's the only thing I worry about, because I don't think the Premier League protects these sort of players. Saka, Grealish, historically, Zaha, even Bruno Fernandes, even though he milks every tackle he gets. Better players don't get protection, and, you know, it's not healthy. You're going to hurt a man, you know. I'm not too sure resting Saka against Benfica is for me personally, because our season's like arguably on the line. You got to play your best players. Like Jack has said, for me, there's nothing in his performance suggesting he needs a rest. Of course, if he suddenly holds his ankle or holds his groin or something, we're in trouble. And forgive me if I'm wrong, indirectly, Saka's had a rest because he's been injured already at some stage, man. What have you said, Ham? Refs not protecting Saka either. Must have been fouled 4 or 5 times yesterday. Don't remember anyone getting booked for it. Facts. Kind of what I'm saying. Malachi is saying, I would rather play a strong team versus Benfica than City, because we can actually get something out of the Europa. I see no reason as to not play 2 strong teams against both, really. As a footballer, these are the parts in the season you're relishing being a part of, man. So we'll have to see what go on for that one, really and truly. Quickly, people, because we've been doing so much chatting and stuff like that. Let's get into the tactical review, people, really quickly, of the game, people, really quickly. Let me share my screen with you guys, you know, because again, we've done so much waffling, we ain't even spoken about that. So let's get into it. Like I said, you know, we won 4-2, probably at a push second half. We how can I make it make sense? We made it harder than it need to be. We conceded 2 cheap goals, in my opinion. I do think ultimately Leeds, if they're looking back at the game, their slow start to the game, and maybe for Bielsa, I know he made a couple of changes to his side in defense. Maybe he wish he just kept it basic, but we did probably expect to see this sort of formation of 4-1-4-1, you know, 11 men behind the ball from Leeds at some point. And we got that. Remember, I told you lot in the preview, it's a game for the ballers. That's why, you know, you could see us early on. You knew what time it was, people. It was in their half. You know, this is one thing I liked. I really liked our pressing. A man said, RIP the magnet board. Nah, bro. It's still tugging. Still out here, man. He's good. It's just, this is the new thing for now. Like, I'm not going to lie, it was a madness holding that in my hand and all of this sort of thing, people. So like I said, people, when you've got a low block, this is, you know, whether you want to call it a low block or how do I make it make sense? Whether you want to call it a low block or a well-engined unit, you know, we've had problems breaking those things down. We couldn't break down Palace. We couldn't break down Villa. You know, going into it against Leeds, yes, they're a bit more open on the transition and things like that, and they give you something, but they were going to, off the ball, we knew what to expect. 4-5-1 out of possession, 11 men behind the ball, and how you broke that down is crucial. And I must admit, Bamford, I thought you would have set it from the front. He was a bit clueless in the game. I really respect our pressing. Remember in the preview, I told you, look, we'd expect something like this, and I saw it. You know, you had what's his face. You all saw it as well. Apologies. You had Cedric, you had Bellerin less so, but you had them providing width. You had our centre halves. You had Xhaka and Ceballos for me, who did very well. You know, man said Lacazette, Aubameyang leading for the line. You know, you had Smith Rowe in the holes. You know, floating in between these half spaces, just offering, going around where and making little triangles and stuff like that. Odegaard made his first start, as you lot know. We had Saka off the right, and we was doing all right. And primarily, this is what you saw in the first 10 odd minutes. People, they couldn't get out of their half. You know what they were doing. They couldn't get out of here. People, you know they did. You're right, Cam. They did miss Calvin Phillips a lot. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. But they couldn't get out of their half. You know, clearly we worked on how we're gonna press them because the balls were just going long. Let's exaggerate Bamford a bit. Now we was winning these battles. It's just coming straight back to us. If we didn't win the first ball, we had men around to win the second. You get it? So I think we worked on something all week and we worked very well. They couldn't distribute. You know, how many times did Milier try get it out to my man and it didn't bang? In fact, that's where the goal first came from. Not to scale, but they've played a long ball. You know, so Bios has actually somehow regained it. He's played it to Xhaka. Now, if we remove Smith Rowe for a second, put him deeper here. If you lot remember, again, not to scale, eventually it's falling to Aubameyang. Let's tuck you in and make you a bit narrow. It's falling to Aubameyang. He's set man with a little shimmy, and step overs, and he's smashed it in. But why have we got that goal, people? Because we're pressing, because we're setting up traps like with Pep Guardiola's City team. You know, we're setting up traps. If you play it short, we're on them. We're squeezing. We're on them. If you play it to your centre halves, we're on them. You play it to Alioski where it went to a couple of times, Saka is on them. How many times did you see Saka involved in goals? Saka is involved in the last two goals of the first half just from pressing people, literally. So I was really impressed with the pressing. That's the main thing for me. Obviously, I was impressed with the football. It was a game for the ballers. We played our technical footballers and we did what we needed to do. So 1-0 was lovely to exploit. Now, again, you know, once again, there's no options for them. There's no options and things like that. And I really was impressed. Where is it, people? I think it's this one I meant to show you. Apologies. I think I've actually on this, I showed you the example I was meant to show you on that. So we've covered that. Playing out from the back. What did I say in my preview? I said Milier is a good goalkeeper, but one thing his problem with, he makes mistakes, and when we was pressing them, we're presenting issues. You saw whenever it went out to Alioski, Saka is pressing him, but you saw dwelling on the ball just from pressing. You know, how many times did he kick it long and it was just to his man and we'll intercept it, or it's just coming straight back to us? We'll recycle it to Leno will distribute it. But you know, it's all about pressing. Just from Saka pressing, he should have had a penalty before, but just from Saka pressing, he's got onto him. You know, keepers of modern day, they all think they're the best ball players in the world. You've got Ederson Ederson with lovely assists and wanting to take penalties and things like that. Just from Saka pressing, he's got a penalty because my man has fancied himself there. He's taken a touch, he's got caught lacking, and he's done the business. So we've got 2 of our goals have been the result of pressing and capitalizing on Leeds' slow start and them moving stupid, people. We took advantage of that. I really respect that in that regards, people. Moving away from that, though, the third goal was atrocious. Again, you know, Alioski, again, as well, the first penalty incident, before I forget, how did we not even get a free kick? Because Alioski is pulling him down way before, is it Dallas or whoever pulls down Saka for the first penalty we didn't get? I didn't understand it. And there was numerous times Alioski is pulling Saka. But Alioski, as a fullback, I can't understand what he was doing, because as a fullback, show man down the line. The only time you show man inside is when you're here, because in theory there'll be more crowded shirts for him to run into. You don't, especially when Saka is a left footer on the right hand side, you're showing him inside. You saw what Saka was on. Saka just breezing past, man, doing a Mazza, you know, doing his best to be like Iron Robin. It eventually went out to Aubameyang. Aubameyang's kept it alive. These 2 centre halves are playing man on side. Bellerin's awake. You know, Odegaard has kept it alive. Smith Rowe, apologies, has kept it alive. Odegaard as well. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Ceballos is actually was it Ceballos or Odegaard? One of them nuts is someone with a pass, and Bellerin of all people is there to finish. Again, that was a poor amount of defending. That was terrible defending from Leeds. You know, that was up there with some of the defending we've done historically this season. It was up there with Thingy as well. Manchester United against Sheffield, where Sheffield scored their second goal. Like, they're chasing shirts. These lot, if these lot step out, man, are offside. It was poor, and we've taken advantage of Leeds' poor start. It was lovely to start strong and actually score, people. But the main thing was pressing. Pressing is a big part as to why, we've got why we've actually, why we've got 3 goals in this first half and a clean sheet. So we're doing the business in that regards. In that regards, obviously, I don't need to show it to scale as well. We went ahead through great play from, where is it? We closed something we're not supposed to be closing there. That's Amazon. I think I closed one, people. Apologies, but I don't need to go over Aubameyang's goal. Aubameyang's hat-trick goal. You all saw it again. We're catching them out. Simply put, people. I feel like I'm doing you lot an injustice, so I might go over it. Let me just check I'm not missing out anything, people, as well. In fact, we might as well. What one can I take it from? Can I copy and paste here? Apologies, people. 1 sec, because as you lot can see, one's been deleted. So let's copy and paste this and slap it here. Yeah, let's slap it here. Okay, cool. That's the first goal we conceded. Now, if you lot remember, if we just go back over here and say that's Leeds again, if we just focus on the fourth goal we scored on our last, people, the short of it is, really and truly, it's been a fantastic break. It's been a fantastic break from us, people. And I think Saka's actually tried to shoot. If you lot remember rightly, Saka's tried to shoot. It's cannoned off of Donny. Helder Costa's there. Helder Costa is lacking him. Helder Costa is absolutely lacking in possession, people. He's disarmed for the ball. Simply put, he's disarmed for that football. Obviously, Smith Rowe's got it. He's racing forward, obviously pretending that this ain't Saka anymore and it's Aubameyang. The thing already. The ball's gone in. He's headed it home. It's 4-0 in that regards. If we go to the goals we conceded, though, people, you're right. The Meg pass with Ceballos, lovely pass from Ceballos. Love for the shortcut help, people. But focusing on the goal we conceded, people, I'm not gonna lie, again, not to scale. I don't think Saka deserves to be killed for it. We love Saka, but the energy was different when Pepe switched off against Southampton and Everton. Forgive me if I'm wrong. A cross comes in. I did think David Luiz could have read it better, but their goal scorer, who is a threat from set pieces, I'm sure he's proved that before. Saka's left him. It's too easy. He's just got in there and boomed it home. It's as simple as that. So it's a poor goal to concede. We've conceded from a set piece as well, people, where Leeds don't score from set pieces. So in Arsenal fan fashion, we've allowed them to score. And I think that was their Donny's first goal. Now, the second goal we conceded was disappointing for me because you could see the Rafinha run from early. You could see it from early. He checked in and then checked out. And I do think in that regards, maybe Saka, Bellerin and Smith Rowe could have organized that. Saka, Bellerin, Ceballos could have organized that one there a bit better, people. I don't think they organized that a bit better. Someone could have dropped off. But either way, again, not to scale. Bellerin has switched off. It's a lovely ball fizzed in behind Bellerin. Rafinha's gone. And Rafinha's had a quiet game, but he's sniffing little bits here and there, bits and pieces. I think Bellerin switched off. I'm not going to lie, Jacques. Like I said, I think Saka, Ceballos and Bellerin all could have done better. Jacques has had a good game, but he switched off, and Helder Costa just simply continued his run like you've seen. Eventually, he's pulled it in, and he kind of makes up for being, for me, at fault for them conceding their fourth. So we did what we did, man. We did what we did. I would have loved, I think it was a good game. For me personally, the pressing is what I loved. Obviously, shout out to Aubameyang for his hat-trick. Is getting 200 career goals across the top 5 leagues, getting a hat-trick, and good for his form and all the things he's been going through. Saka and Smith Rowe was good. Obviously, Odegaard didn't set the world alight, but in little bits and pieces, he was good in the game for me. Just the 2 goals we conceded was a bit poor. We took our foot off the gas, maybe allowed Leeds in periods of the game into it a bit too much. Like I said earlier in my review, I did think when we scored our first, from minute 13 to minute 23, we probably allowed them a bit too much in it. So I think they deserved their 2 goals. As I said at the start of this tactical review, maybe Leeds looking at it themselves, they'll rue not starting quicker and maybe unnecessary changes that they made. But it is what it is. For Arsenal, it is what it is. We go marching on. If we look at some quick statistics and all of those sort of things, people, big up the Twitter accounts, Shaqwa and Orbino and all them guys who do all the up to Joe, all the statistics. Arsenal scored 4 shots from just 5 on target against Leeds. So again, I remember I said it. We scored all them goals and we exploited their mistakes, but I still didn't think we necessarily tested Millionaire. So there's a lot more to come in that regards. I think we could have been more clinical even in the first half, people. So 5 shots could do a lot more. I think David Luiz had a good game, so I'm not reading into the statistics, but he lost the ball. He lost possession 21 times, very high for a centre half and 3% higher than Leno. Again, there's got to be some context to that. And I don't think Luiz had a bad game. He was charging forward and everything there. Leeds have conceded the joint most penalties in this season. It should have been 8 because I don't see how the first one isn't given. I'm not going to lie. I watched that several times over. They've conceded the most joint headed goals in the Premier League. So it's lovely to see we exploited 2 of those. I think that might be 5 for Smith Rowe now, but Smith Rowe's done his thing and he's better than Willian in that regards. He's, big money. Well, typically big money. James Rodriguez and Hakim Ziyech, they're household names in football, so he's doing all right. Aubameyang has scored 7 goals in his last 5 at the Emirates, so he seems to still love playing at home. It's a bit of a weird one, but Lacazette is the one bagging away and Aubameyang is the one scoring at home. That's his first Premier League hat-trick for Arsenal, and I think his second overall for us. I know he's got a hat-trick in the Europa League. Today was good, or yesterday was good, but prior to that, people, we had scored just 4 goals in 11 home games in the first half this season, people. So we've been a bit of, we've started well. We had the score line to kind of reflect that. Big up everybody locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Arsenal sadly haven't kept 4 consecutive clean sheets in the Premier League at the Emirates since May 2017, and we failed to do that. I mentioned it earlier, but Willian, considering he came off the bench, he managed to do worse than Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe lost it 5 times across 62 minutes. Willian lost it 5 of his 10 touches coming on in the 62nd minute. So I think that's pretty telling in that regards, people, really and truly. So that's that from a tactical review. That's all I've got to speak about in relation to the game. So yeah, man, there actually isn't anything else to go on about, really and truly. If we move away from that one there, though, really quickly, people, would you not sign Dani Ceballos for 22 million? And I say that because there's been a lot of talk in relation to this. Apparently, they've set a 22 million pound asking price. Now, for me, apologies, people. Apologies. Like I was saying, for me personally, 22 million. I don't mind that, 22 mil. We don't really know who is going to be our midfield next season. Technically, Odegaard and Ceballos are lone players. Xhaka's probably going to be here, but his future sporadically with every bad game, there's speculation. Obviously, we know his relationship with the fans generally. El Nene contracted until 2022, might stay for 1 more year, but probably should be moved on. Guendouzi, Maitland-Niles, Joel Willock, Torreira, futures are all speculated. So again, you'd imagine that if these players are sold, we could raise 22 million to pay that. And being broke, I think we could stagger them payments for Ceballos. I think we could do a lot worse. I wouldn't mind keeping Ceballos. So I would say yes on one hand. On the other hand, I would say obviously Ceballos he's a technical footballer and he was great yesterday, but there's only been a handful of times that memorable games you're like Ceballos was really head and shoulders above everyone, like excluding Aubameyang. For me, he has a case to be man of the match yesterday. And he's gone through patches, but he hasn't been consistently good. So I'm not too sure. Obviously, he has resale value. Obviously, he's got age on his side. Obviously, he's got the trust of Arteta. So I'd be open for it. But I would argue, could we spend 22 million pounds elsewhere? If they say Odegaard's available, could that 22 be put towards that? Could we put that 22 million pounds towards a sort of number 8 who is better than Ceballos, who can give us more than Ceballos, or go for another 6/8 in Partey when Partey's not there? I wouldn't be against it. I'm probably not as against bringing in Ceballos as some of you on a permanent basis as some of you thought. But for me, it's just a case of whatever targets we have, could we spend money elsewhere and get a better return? So that's probably why I would sit on my hands in relation to keeping Dani Ceballos at the club, people. So I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm for it. I'd probably say we should just stay clear because, again, hopefully, he can make this look stupid, but we haven't really seen much for as good as he is, people. I see a technical footballer. I don't really see consistency levels, but I wouldn't mind him. We've got a lot of question marks to ask ourselves at the end of the season because there's speculation over, let me be real, Xhaka's probably going to stay, but with the exception of Xhaka, maybe Joe Willock, there's speculation over all of that centre midfield, over all that midfield. And midfield is crucial. For me, you need 2 midfielders minimum, one vital next season. Our midfield is crucial, and our midfield is, you know, apart from Smith Rowe right now, everybody's quite hot and cold. So we're gonna see. Do our finances stretch that far and wide to do such? Only time will tell, but we'll have to see, people. So yeah, I think that's it, man. We've spoken about David Luiz, about Ceballos, tactical review, all of these sort of things, people. We're gonna wrap up in a sec with Odegaard speaking on his own performance, people. But what are you lot saying? Bellerin needs to go back to basics, overlapping, crossing, showing the winger outside and tracking your runner. Lack these fundamentals and you'll never be a good fullback. You know, facts. Luiz has too much experience to not deal with that one. To be fair, it's Saka's man. Saka's left his man. I did think David Luiz could have done better, but I think Saka's lost his man far too easily. You know, there's no urgency from Luiz to meet the cross with a header. But you know, if Saka makes more of a meal, and I know man will say Saka isn't a defender, and it's true. But as someone that was a shorter man that used to play in defense, what did my manager used to tell me? Them situations there, you're not gonna out jump him. Go and put him off. If he follows that runner and he jumps into the defender, dark hearts, and he jumps into that defender, he might put him off. Think about it logically, people. If your team has an attacking header, you're running to put yourself in it now. You're running to meet that now, and let's say Saka's near you and Saka jumps into you. You're gonna think, oh crap, my face, or something's gonna happen, and that little split second might be the difference between him making contact or not making contact. You get it? So an improvement to be had there. You're right. Xhaka has upped his game so much recently. Xhaka's one of them people are reluctant to praise, very quick to blame, in my opinion. You know, big up all things Spurs TV. 22 million ain't bad, but better invested in youth. He's a La Liga type. Do you know what it is with Ceballos? I don't mind keeping Ceballos. 22 million, it's not bad, but you know, I want to see a bit more. You know, if he could dictate the tempos of games a bit more for Arsenal, I'd be saying yes, because that's what I want to see. Like I said, 22 million, it's not that bad. I wouldn't mind it, you know, but it's a thing where I'm thinking, yo, could that 22 million be put towards any sort of money we have already allocated towards our or any other of these targets? Could that 22 million go towards this name? Do you get what I'm saying? It's not a no-brainer sort of deal. I'm not against it. I'm not mad for it. You know what, man? You know what? Some midfielders just don't come with goals and assists. Like I do think Ceballos should. I think Kovacic is probably one of my favorite non-Arsenal midfielders. Some men are just not gonna get goals. But for me, I don't see. Yesterday it was good, but I want to see Ceballos dictate the tempo of the game. For me, that's more important than his goals and assists. Because if you dictate the tempo of the game, we ain't got enough Our midfield don't try that enough. Xhaka does do that to a degree, but we all know Xhaka is limited in that. Random guy said, if we could get one out of Ceballos and Odegaard, who would you take, or none of them? Personally, I'd rather Odegaard. Again, he's only played, you know, a couple of, you know, he's barely played a couple of games, but there's something about Odegaard I think I've seen in these little dribs and drabs that I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind you staying permanently, you know. He just fitted in, sort of thing. And big up the Dark Arts crew. You never miss a beat. And that's it, man. Some man might say, you know what, you might as well just slap that on Basuma or something, man. And that's it as well, you know. I don't really see what Ceballos can do that Guendouzi can't. If you get it, obviously we can really dictate it and, you know, slice it down. But that's what I'm saying. That's what you're right on that, man. I like Ceballos. I wouldn't be against it, but because I do one thing I like about Ceballos as well. He's way more on the defending than I thought he was. You know, I don't think Arsenal fans give him the credit. He's mad on defending. He puts himself about. Derek isn't here for anything. He's saying, here we go again with the sentiment, DG. Goodbye, Ceballos, please. Let's push on with the process. What's his sell-on value? Well, we ain't going to get no sell-on because he ain't our player. But, you know, Derek never minces his words, man. Big up to everybody. It's lovely to see all your different views. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's right. You know, RB again, he's saying, you know, Guendouzi's as good as Ceballos. And I think that's the problem in itself. Because when Ceballos was landing here, I was thinking, yo, he's going to come here and play to the level where, in a right way, it's like he's doing Arsenal a favor being here. It's like we're watching him every game and like, boy, you should be at Madrid, especially the Madrid they are right now. We doing at Arsenal. I don't think we've seen that from Ceballos. I think we've seen Ceballos is a good player. I think we've seen he wants the ball, but I haven't seen him really grab the games by the stuff of its neck. And we should be begging Danny Ceballos to stay. Look, what did I just say earlier, my bro? I said, somebody asked me, random guy said, what? Odegaard or Ceballos? You lot should be getting on to me, say, DG, you're chatting, pardon my language, you're chatting shit. You can't say that, you know? Odegaard's only been here 2 minutes, but nobody said that. And I think that's telling there. You know, we were ready to, you know, certain man were wetting their pants over Ceballos when he done a madness against Burnley, when he was time wasting against Newcastle. Obviously, he had a good end to the season last year, and he's a bit slow to pick it up now, but you get the point, man. Big up everyone, man. I wouldn't mind you, you know. I'd rather Odegaard. I wouldn't mind that, man. To be fair, if he could, man. If he could, why not, man? If he could, but I think we've got too many of these players that, you know, when you look around the squad, there's too many man in this team that need little ingredients, you know, too many little dribs and drabs and all of these sort of things, too much, you know. And I only want to really, you know, if your name's Gabriel, I think Gabriel's a 30 defender, but he's not the defender that we believe he can be just yet. That's who I want to develop. Saliba, that's who I want to develop. Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, they're the ones I want to develop. But when you add that in, and with all due respect, you've got a Pepe, assuming Ceballos stayed permanently, you know, Holding's playing well, but Holding's been there. We've got too many players, young and old, where we're like, yo, we can, if we just do this and that to him, he can be this. We've got too many of them. We need some man that are just on crud. And you've got too many hot and cold players across many different aspects of this football club, in my humble opinion. But what do I know, man? I'm just a man with an opinion. Big up the Twitch gang. And somebody said, I doubt they want to sell Odegaard. Probably not, especially if he plays well here. I think it's even. I think Ceballos does things faster than Guendouzi. I think Guendouzi's a tiny bit braver on the ball, personally. Too many bits and piece players, man. Too many bits and that's the thing. I don't mind it, but when you've got a 25-man squad and you're saying it for about 10 of them, it's problems. You know, 38 game period season. You know, you need to see a base level. I'm not even onto him about the goals and assists, because if he could dictate the tempo of a game, like really dictate the tempo of a game, I wouldn't really necessarily care. So it is what it is, man. And that's it, man. You said it perfectly. You know, we ain't got enough standalone players. Too much, man. 1 minute they're this, 1 minute they're that. They need this to be able to play. You know, I'm tired of having players where we need to keep talking about they need this to do that. They need this sort of player to do this. You know, sometimes, and even me myself, I think football fans, we overcomplicate this wonderful game of football. It's a basic game. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, man. I don't know though, man. I really, really don't know. It's an interesting debate, though. It's an interesting one, man. 55 million. Oh, 55 for 2 players. Yeah, not bad, not bad, not bad. To be fair with you, not bad. You know, trust me. The thing is, like I said, Guendouzi's someone I'd want to mold, because still, what are you, Guendouzi? You're not a 10. Are you a box-to-box, or are you deep lying? How do we make you that? And I think I think actually one thing Ceballos is undoubtedly clear of Guendouzi is his defending. I think Guendouzi's defensive, he puts in a shift, but he's shit defensively. And even watching him for Berlin, he's not really improved in that regards. You know, he needs to improve. He's too easy to run past. But I definitely agree. Guendouzi's someone I want to work with, man. Is he though? He is to a degree, but is he really and truly? Or I think you're right, Jack. But at the same time, you could say there's arguably more question marks, because you know you've got certain one that you could define as useless is Willian. Would you say keeping Willian is more useful than the many ones that have gone on loan, without talking about why they've gone out on loan and those sort of things, obviously? So yeah, man. To wrap up this though, people, Odegaard has spoken on his loan, on his making his first start and things, people. Oh well, that's a bummer, people, because you actually can't see it. But let me try and find some quotes on it, because apparently he was saying he thinks he's played well, but he doesn't think he's set the world on fire and things like that. He bigged up. I can't even find it, people. But he bigged up Saka. He bigged up Martinelli, and he bigged up Saka. He bigged up Martinelli generally before the game, people. And I'm sure if you lot saw, bro, Tony Adams is vexed, man. I love Tony Adams. He's vexed. What is he said? Tony Adams slams Arsenal for signing Martin Odegaard and insists Mikel should have prioritized strong defenders in January. You're not wrong. You're not wrong for that one. Alioski as well. But what has Tony Adams been vexed about? Let me see his actual conversation. He said, to be honest, there's an argument that you don't need Martin Odegaard. Smith Rowe's been doing well, but we needed to share the burden of creativity away from him. So I don't agree with that, Tony Adams. He said, I got so annoyed that we brought in Pepe and Willian when you've got two kids. To be fair with you, when we brought in Pepe, Saka and Smith Rowe weren't where they are now. Willian wasn't at the club, so it's not really true, is it, people? It is true that they're bursting into the team. He said there's other areas in the team that you could look at. There's holes in that team. We saw how fragile they are defensively, and the defense has always been the weak link. Trust me, we've improved a lot defensively, but until we have a better personnel in defense and midfield, we're going to hit a glass ceiling, because I think City are statistically the only defensive team better than us. But we're still conceding cheap goals. Us lot here have spoken about that. We conceded cheap goals against Wolves. Conceded two here. You know, very rarely our team are we sitting there. You know, João Moutinho off the top of my head, probably, and that could have been stopped. That's the only goal I say, oh boy, you know what? It's a banger. So are we really improving defensively? And as he said here, as the sporting director of Arsenal, you wouldn't be getting Odegaard in, you'd be getting good, strong defenders in the team instead. Why not both? I think you're a bit misplaced there, Tony Adams. Who am I to tell Tony Adams that? He said to play the first Premier League start against Leeds after not playing a lot of football in. Oh, sorry, this is Arteta, people. I'm not going to bore you lot with what Arteta has said. Apologies. So yeah, man, that's it, people. Really and truly. Shout out to Tony Adams for getting vexed. Really and truly. How angry is he at the Pepe signing? I don't know, but he's gonna have to eat. Bro, shout out Tony Adams, but he's always vexed. I agree with that. Always vexed. Always vexed. I don't know why he's angry, because at the time we needed a winger. Like, nobody's told me I look like Stephen Birdswhy. Nobody's told me I look like Stephen Birdswhy. I mean, everyone tells me I look like this guy, brother. Like, blood, I need £1 for every time that somebody says this. If I had a like on my videos for every time someone said that and £1, fuck all this YouTube stuff, man. I respect Odegaard because that tells you he's not a loser. He knows what he's got good self-awareness. He knows he's laid a good foundation and there's something to build upon. You know, I like that. You know, he's not happy in a healthy way with his performance. He's not there. Oh yeah, so apologies. It's not, it's Villa. It's either Villa or City. I'm just saying City because they've been improving defensively. So Villa and City are doing their thing, you know. And would you say, apart from City, you know, who's really got the certified defense? Of course, you would say that you're a spud, mate. You can't follow me on Twitch for some reason. Why is it doing me dirty, man? Hey, you're a cheeky guy, blood. You're a cheeky guy, blood. Bro, John, Pepe's got talent. Personally, I've accepted Pepe isn't going to be a 72 million pound player, but that doesn't mean he can't be good for us. The minimum he can do is shut up the talk about price tag, and I think he's been doing that really and truly. He's got the talent without a doubt. You're right, though, man. I think Mavropanos has been developing quite well. Hopefully he can carry it on really and truly, man. What are you saying? It was so good you had to name it. You had to say it twice, Rafa. Big up yourself as well. For a spud, you've always been locked in, man. I know. You told me. I don't know why you changed your username, but it is what it is, man. Man said I look like Lewandowski. And I know when I get, you know, if police stop you, they say IC3. And last time I checked, I didn't look like an IC1. Shout out to Lewandowski, though. Whatever you said. Big up DG, number one source for them over the fence. You lot are pagans and them things there, but it's calm. It's calm. It's like CB says, even the ops there rating and them thing there. But yeah, man. It is what it is, though, man. I'm going to get out of here, people. Like I said, I'm back again at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. UK time. So it's 1:45 right now. I'm back again at 3 p.m. I'll be here with my guy, Wax Online. We'll be speaking about Arsenal. You lot will answer you lot's comments as well. I don't think there's time in the day, people. I wanted to speak about neutral stuff from a neutral point of view. So I guess we're just going to have to wait till 11:30 tomorrow. So yeah, man, back again at 3 p.m. for those of you. I know a lot of you are tuned in your lunchtime. So big up you lot, man. I really appreciate you lot. F1 has said, I'm the captain of the deluded army, says DG after he gets arrested for slapping up Willian. Nah, no violence, man. No violence. I think Saka can go as far as his talent can take him and God can take him. So let's see where that is. Martinelli does need a run, my bro. Everyone make sure you're hitting the like button. It is what it is, man. 3 p.m. we go again, man. He should, but save all of that for 3 p.m. Save all of that. Save all of that. Save all of that. You know, we'll be back. I'll be back again, people. Make sure you hit the like button. The like button makes all the difference. I'm out.